This message is for my type 1 diabetic parents, kids. I know it's back to school time already. Gosh, this summer just flew by. But I just wanted to hop on. I just wanted to go ahead and say that you're doing great. You're doing amazing. And I know that it is not an easy life for your child. It's not an easy life for a parent. It's not easy, period. Point blank, period. But I did want to get on and say if you got kids that are in elementary school, middle school, high school, even college. My oldest daughter, who is a type 1 diabetic, she was diagnosed at 6, and she is thriving, and 19, almost 20, coming up really, really, really soon, which is insane. She moved out, and, she's got an amazing boyfriend and doing great. She was a very active athlete through elementary, middle, and high school, and she was doing great. That doesn't mean that there was never bumps in the roads, but my biggest thing of coming on and telling any parents that haven't done it yet, or very new to this, or have questions about it, I'd be happy to answer anything. Like I said, we've been in it for a good chunk of time. And I highly recommend, whether a school tells you or not, that you do need a 504. You need a 504. It is very important for your child to have this, whether the school agrees or not. I have seen some posts lately that, parents are told that, oh, you don't need a 504 plan. You need a medical plan that gives, what they can carry, their numbers, how much they're supposed to calculate, if they're on shots. Even you have to fill it out, even if they're on a pump. You still have to do that just as a backup. I was very naive in the beginning and found out the hard way with a nurse that we were already 4 years in, and I knew her well, and she turned me into CPS because of high blood sugars. A child isn't going to have that. It just happens. And I'd rather have her a little bit on the higher side going to school than not, because going low, it's just a whole other ball game with that. And she's always been in a good range if you're going to compare A1Cs, because I do not believe that A1Cs are the be all say all, because honestly, it's an average number of over 3 months, and if you are constantly focused on that, you're focused on the wrong thing. I might get a lot of hate for that, but that is absolutely how I feel, and I express it. I'm a huge advocate. But back to the 504s. Yes, you've got to have a medical plan, which is separate than a 504. Now, a 504 plan helps with your child. Say that their sugars are high and they can't focus and they need to take a test. They need extra time. Important to always have a bathroom pass. There are some teachers that freaking hate this. If a child doesn't have that bathroom pass, because, having them to, maybe they're embarrassed and don't want to do things in front of the classroom, stuff like that. That way they can go to the bathroom, do what they got to do, or do it in class. My daughter was pretty good about, doing things in class, we're doing. I would go out of my way to, of course, through elementary school and middle school, we always had to sit down, and I went with every teacher, and we'd go over things, extra time for tests. I did have a thing with modifying if she missed a certain amount of school, that they would modify how much she had to make up, because what she would do is get back to school, and then she would have a ton of work, and then, of course, the current work that's going on, which, of course, the current work was more important and maybe needed an extra time, or a modification of certain things that needed to be done to reflect homework situations. I think these things are extremely important, and there are a lot of parents that are very unsure what to ask, what to do. Make sure that they can have snacks in certain classrooms, or all classrooms, if they don't carry them on themselves, or their teacher has to allow them to always have food. Teachers that can't question, and they all have to know. They say that the teacher will get a book of students that have, maybe allergies, if they're diabetic, and that's supposed to be the teacher reads this and understands the kids. A good teacher will do this. I have found that not all teachers, especially substitutes, and even like the main teacher, do not read these. They do not. I would always go out of my way to talk to the teacher, get to know the teacher. Of course, it was easier in elementary school. Middle, we had a whole thing where I got to meet every single teacher. Now, when she went to high school, the nurse at the time there, which was absolutely amazing, because she had a diabetic daughter too. So, she knew, and I felt comfortable with that. I didn't have any issues with her. It was just prior to all this, through middle school and elementary school. But in high school, I did go out of my way to meet the teachers, talk to every single teacher, email, because that's how you do teachers for your child. Of course, you want to try to themselves, but I always go on and the whole email about what you do, what you have, what you have, what you do, and what you can, what you do, your phone, and phone, my days, and I get that, it's stuff like that. And I think that is the best information. If you have any questions, please leave me comments, DM me, whatever the case may be. If you have questions or concerns, or you want to hear more, I am happy to always give any information. I literally could do this in my sleep, but I've also made sure that I learned absolutely every single thing. And trust me, it is extremely overwhelming. When my daughter was diagnosed, it happened, I would say maybe a couple weeks before school was about to start. So yes, it was crunch time, it was scary, it was all of the things, and I appreciate each and every one of you, and you're doing amazing, whether you've been in it a long time or this is brand new to you. So, I will cut it short because I know this video is a little long, and let me know, and I'll continue to make these kind of videos, and I hope that you guys have a great school year.